All right. Hey, everybody. This is Coach Jerry here with Biohacking Truth, and I appreciate your patience and tuning into this broadcast. We attempted to go live on Facebook earlier, but my technology gremlins bit once again, which is fine. I don't have anything. I don't have any like pain over that. But it's a typical result for me when I get on anything technology based here. But as promised, as billed, we're going to talk tonight with Mr. Shawn Chapman, and Shawn and I got acquainted through our Facebook group, I believe. And Shawn just reached out to me, and we had some nice pleasantries exchanged, and he went in and shared his story with me, which was really remarkable. And the remarkable thing about Shawn's story was he just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. And as we know in the journey, in the transformation process, there really isn't a perfect time. And usually when we start the journey, it's when we're at our most vulnerable, when we're at our weakest, when we've been beaten down the most. And, the irony is that's when we really need to get going, but that's when we lack the strength to do it. And so I was hoping Shawn would be willing to come on and share a story, which he's agreed to do. And I really hope that this just provides some inspiration and motivation for some of you guys who might be in a similar place or know someone who is. You might be able to share Shawn's story. So Shawn, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, I was just tickled when you agreed to join me on this. I understand it's not always easy to carve out time out of your schedule to talk to a stranger on Facebook or someone you just met on Facebook, but I really think people are going to benefit from your story and your journey, and I'm sure many already have. And so I'm privy to your journey and your success story, but maybe everybody here isn't. So would you mind sharing whatever you're comfortable sharing about your journey, the process, whatever you want to throw in there, and anything about yourself you want to throw in there, where you're at, personal interests, whatever you want to throw in there.
Absolutely. So really, this started back in early 2020, right before COVID hit and right before they kind of locked everything down. Mm-hmm. I was in a place where I felt like I really needed to heal. I was overweight. I'd been overweight for years. I was hovering around between 250, 260 pounds, diabetic. I was having neuropathy in my feet. I was starting to get neuropathy in my hands. I was having diabetic retinopathy in my eyes. I would get these blurry spots in my eyes. I was starting to get, my doctor tells me, mild kidney involvement. In other words, kidney damage from the diabetes. And this had been going on for years. And I've been on, several medications. I've been on a heart medication, a statin. I've been on a medication to help reduce the kidney involvement with diabetes. A couple others. And back in early March of 2020, I decided that I wanted to try and eat plant-based. And I was listening to this paranormal podcast where this guy a few weeks earlier, and this guy said he was inspired to eat plant-based and how it really helped him and lightened his vibration and everything.
Totally. Yeah.
So, and I will attest to that.
Yeah, it does.
But I started eating plant-based, I'd keep it simple, just like, mushroom tacos, or, I'd make lentil stew or something. And I just started doing it, and I felt really good about it. I noticed in about 2 weeks that I actually noticed it before then, my vibration and my mood started to get lighter. My mood swings would much lessened, and I'm much more even keeled emotionally. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that, but then the weight started coming off, and within 2 months, I was probably down about 40 pounds.
Wow.
It came off quickly. I'll eat whole fresh veggies, I'll prepare myself, try to avoid canned processed things. I don't consume caffeine. I don't consume alcohol. Very limited sugar. I'll eat some dark chocolate once in a while. Mm-hmm. See what else. I wrote a little list down here. No tobacco. I only drink water. I don't drink anything. I don't drink tea. I don't drink anything. I don't even drink fruit juice. I drink distilled bottled water is what I drink. And that's it. And I saw my doctor after a few months, And I really wanted him to see me. I really like my doctors. So I
Yeah.
really wanted him to see me, and I wanted to impress him, because all the doctors I've ever talked to, they say, you can't reverse diabetes.
Right.
Once you have it for life.
Right.
And I went and I saw him, and he even brought in a specialist with him to take a look at, they looked at my A1C, which is, I don't know if you know what that is. If you have diabetes, they take your blood every 3 months or every 6 months, and they look and see what your blood sugar is, an aggregate level over 3 months.
Yep.
And they noticed that not only was I not in the diabetic range anymore, I was even below the pre-diabetic level. I was at what showed as a normal metabolism.
Wow.
And I was extremely happy about that. My doctor they were asking me, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I told them, I eat plant-based. I cut out my carbs, cut out the sugar, cut out the processed foods and stuff. And, look, I'm the living proof. I mean, if an old slug like me can do it, and I'm 50, almost 54, if I can do it, anybody can.
Yeah.
I swear anybody can.
Absolutely.
I love burgers. I love all that stuff. Donuts and stuff. Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't crave any of that stuff.
No.
I don't.
You won't.
I find that when you eat whole natural foods that have a high density of nutritional value and that are high vibration, you don't have to eat as much, and you get full.
Yep.
Because your body you're giving your body much better fuel.
Yep.
It's like putting 93 octane in your car versus 87.
Yep. It carries information as well, right? So it's not just minerals and vitamins and fibers and proteins and fats and carbs.
Right.
There's actual information in the food.
Absolutely.
How does that compare to what you were doing before you decided to make a change? What was your lifestyle and diet like at that time?
I'd eat Wendy's 3 or 4 times a week, maybe. I'd go get a burrito, or we'd get pizza, or I was drinking beer, which beer isn't necessarily bad, but it's got a lot of carbs and a lot of calories.
Sure. Yep.
And so, I don't drink that. I don't drink alcohol anymore. So
messes with your sleep.
Yes, absolutely. Messes with your mood.
Yep.
I feel 100% better than I did before, when I was eating, processed foods and all the chemicals and everything that society pushes on us.
Yeah.
Which is actually the opposite of health.
Correct.
If they really cared about us, they would give us, incentive, and more bioavailable foods would be available to us.
Yes, agreed. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but to me, the almost criminal element in the way everything is being portrayed, sold, packaged, marketed to us is that really, like, being healthy is not difficult. As far as the systems you need to employ, the process. Now, making the change, that's the hard part, right? Actually changing the habits and changing the behaviors, changing the way you see yourself in the world. Yes, that's the tough part. But it's just like simple. If I were to lay out any plan that would be successful, you could take plant-based, you could take, omnivore, you could take whatever and say, this is going to work for you. And someone would look at it and they would say, well, no kidding. Of course that's going to work. But we want something else, right? We want to cheat the system. We want to game the system, right? We want to eat the way we were eating, but not have the consequences, right?
Right.
So I want a vegan tofu burger, or I want, plant-based donuts, or, there are keto cookies or whatever, whatever the fad for processed foods is. But to that point, what was the hardest part for you in making the change? Getting everything started, getting that inertia built. What was the most difficult and challenging part for you?
Actually making the choice to do it. It was kind of a gradual thing, because for months leading up to when I actually finally just started to really eat plant-based and really do it, I would slowly cut out things like, French fries. I would decide to get, like a tabbouleh salad instead of French fries.
Sure.
Or, I'd cut out the beer and I'd decide to drink water.
Yeah.
For me, it was hard to do it all at once.
Yeah.
So like a gradual thing until I was actually ready to pull the trigger and start really eating plant-based natural foods.
Okay. So there's like a period of dabbling and sampling different, what I would call habit swaps, right?
Yes.
So you're swapping habits, right? And then maybe there's some habit stacking going on there as well. If we've got like an exercise or stretching routine incorporated, but there became a point where you gained enough clarity in belief to where the action was unavoidable. Is that Is that where you were at? It was like, I've done enough of this to realize that I can do it. Now I know the next steps. I'm going.
Yeah, it was really almost like a spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I finally realized everything was starting to stack up, that I have diabetes, I'm getting retinopathy, I'm starting really what it was. I started to get these two things. I started to get a lot of some neuropathy in my hands, where I would get the shooting pains in my hands.
Yeah.
And I had them in my feet too. I'd had them in my feet for years. But I'd start to get the shooting pains and numbness in the tips of my fingers. And my diabetic retinopathy was starting to get worse. It was to
Mm.
the point where I would get a blurry spot in the center of my vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some days I found it even hard to actually read anything, even with my reading glasses.
Wow.
I couldn't read sometimes. And with my job, I work in IT, I work with computers.
Yeah.
I have to read all day long.
Right. Right. Right.
Small print.
Yeah.
And I'll just say real quick, since I've done that, my neuropathy is gone. My retinopathy is gone. I can see just fine. The only thing I still have left is these little numb spots in my feet here and there. And
Yeah.
those are actually shrinking and going away. I'm actually watching my body heal itself.
Yeah. Your body's creating new neural pathways, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because and it would do that before, but it can't create good neural pathways with donuts and Wendy's.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
You have to keep on it. This
Yep.
is a lifetime thing. It's not like a diet where you do it for 6 months and then you're skinny.
Exactly.
These are life habits.
Exactly. And so what Shawn's referring to, what's happening with Shawn, is he's rebuilding a body, literally rebuilding a body. And there's a lot of nonsense out there about, our liver and our kidneys and various organ groups that are there to detoxify our body. Yes, they are, but it's just like if we put, a kitchen funnel and we have like an endless supply of flour that we're putting into that, eventually that thing's going to overfill, right? Our detox mechanisms, our HPA axis, all that, right? It's used to a certain level of toxicity and cleanliness to where it can form a flow in its rhythm in what it does. Mm-hmm. And what Shawn was experiencing was just an overabundance of toxicity and a total deprivation of actual nutrients. And so you're breaking the body down, you're devitalizing the body to take this food, quote unquote, air quotes, food, bring it in. It's not food. So your body has to actually devitalize itself. It's got to take its mineral stores, its vitamin nutrient stores, add it to this mush you've just put in your body and make it seem like food so your body can assimilate it. So your body says, I'm not using these vitamins, minerals right now at this moment, but this stuff's getting delivered right to the cell. So we need to make it food-like. And so what he's done is he's removed that compensatory element out of there. So everything he's putting into his body is going towards regenerating the body, building new neural networks, replenishing the cells, building muscle tissue, building skin tissue, building hair, building nails, all that stuff. And consequently, what happens? Our skin clears up, right? Our energy improves. Things that we haven't been able to heal in the past, despite multiple doctor visits, multiple prescriptions, now start to heal themselves. Because never forget, besides acute trauma, your body creates every disease that we've ever had. Your body creates it, and your body's healed every disease that's ever been healed. It's not the drugs. It's not the medicine. Okay. If your body helps or heals in spite of that, right? The medicine or drugs might have helped something, but your body did the healing. Your body accepted the drug intervention and said, I am going to heal myself. So that's what Shawn's experiencing. Sorry, Shawn, didn't mean to cut you off, but you caught me in an inspired moment there. Great story.
Sorry, I was just agreeing with you.
All good. And so, like when you made this decision, I'm real curious to get into that space where you were at, where you went to the doctor, right? So let's go back to that. You're going to the doctor, your doctor diagnosed you with diabetes, and you had to have been sensing that something wasn't right, right? And so where were you at on a daily basis as far as how you felt, your willingness to participate and enjoy life? And then also, how did that doctor visit go?
We're talking about when I was diagnosed with
when you were diagnosed. Yeah. I would like to know what he advised you to do, what his prognosis was for your ability to reverse it, if anything.
Yes.
But yeah, let's paint a picture of where you were at that caused you to go to the doctor. And when you went to the doctor, what was the prognosis and the advice given?
Sure. I had a different doctor back then. This was back in 2011.
Okay.
I think I'd probably had diabetes for a good couple of years before that, just kind of leading up to it, but I didn't really notice till a couple months before I went to the doctor. I started
Sure.
noticing, my extremities, my hands and feet were cold. I was starting to get numb spots. I was starting to get little spiky pains, which I
Yeah.
now know were the neuropathy. And so I went to the doctor and he did the tests and he said, yeah, you definitely have diabetes. You're not pre-diabetic. You are full on diabetic.
Mm.
And he said he wanted me to talk to a nutritionist, and I talked to her also. Neither one, I said, what's the possibility of me actually reversing my diabetes and getting back to a normal metabolism? And they said, you're not going to do it. You're going to live with this for life. Eventually, you're probably going to go on insulin. And my nutritionist, actually, she proposed that, why don't I stop doing this one blood sugar medication and go on insulin for 3 months to give my body the chance to, how did she put it? To give my body a break from producing insulin. And I would get the insulin, artificially, externally. And then after that, my body would start producing insulin again. And I looked at her and I said, there's no way. If I start giving my body insulin, it's going to shut down the pancreas and it's going to say, okay, I'm off now. I'm not going to produce any more insulin. And I'm like, there's no way. And she's like, well, you need to consider it. I'm like, okay, I'll consider it. Sure. And yeah.
Right. Yeah. Later.
But there's even my doctor now, when I reversed my diabetes, I couldn't get him to say, you don't have diabetes anymore. I couldn't get him to say it.
These doctors' egos are just.
He says, on your chart, it will show that you have a history of diabetes. And that's the best he could do for me. So
how does that make you feel?
Like he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I concur.
Look, I have a normal metabolism now. You did a full metabolic panel on me. My triglycerides are low. My cholesterol is low. And when I say low, I mean within normal limits and well within normal limits. Like I look like I have
you're in the green zone
of a 25-year-old.
Yeah, you're in the green zone.
Yeah, I am definitely in the green zone on all levels. Yeah, physically, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm curious if he would have given you a prescription at that time, right? It doesn't exist, but let's say he gave you a prescription at that time that is supposedly supposed to stop diabetes, right? Type 2.
Yeah.
And you went and took it and came back, exact same scenario, except instead of doing what you did, you took his drug. I'm curious if he would have said that you reversed your diabetes or not.
I bet he would have.
Because by definition, what is reversing diabetes? You had it, now you don't.
Right.
You had a metabolic disease, now you have the metabolism of someone 20 plus years younger than you. So yeah, this is I'm not going to get off on a tangent as I very am prone to do when we start talking about white coats and nutritionists and the people that we've outsourced our thinking to.
Yes.
And the thing is, these people can't be trusted to do that. And I don't really believe that, besides like the egotistical nature of a lot of people in those positions, right? Their personality drives them to those professions. And the egotistical nature of them is really causing harm because their inability to look at what is, because that means that, well, I didn't fix you. If you went and fixed yourself, I didn't fix you.
Right.
And there's a lot of that going on.
Yep. Sorry.
And that's why, no need to be. And that's why in my particular style, when it comes to talking about the white coats, it does come across as very antagonistic and abrasive, and I just can't help it. That comes from my personal story. That's me advocating for myself. Like,
okay,
I have stories just like that, when it comes to obesity and depression, anxiety, arthritis, God, you name it, I mean, just everything top to bottom, and everything was the exact same thing. Like, here's your diagnosis. Your prognosis is, if you stick close to us, you're going to have the best quality of life possible. The farther you get away from us, the more screwed you are. When exactly, it's the exact opposite. It's exact opposite. Now, if you don't go to the doctor and you just don't pay attention to your condition and you just keep living unconsciously, well, yes, that's way worse than seeing a doctor every, 6 months or 2 months or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But the fact that they think that they're the best option, and that's really what's the only allowable narrative when it comes to people's health, is really a crime. I mean, it's criminal. We've got to snap out of this. We've got to hear more stories like yours, and the people that we get the good fortune of working with, because, there's umpteen stories just like yours.
Yeah.
Everyone's unique. Everyone's different, but, and mine included, it's like, if I would have followed the doctor's advice, I would be, probably 80 pounds or more heavier than I am now. And, on all sorts of drugs. And so you left, you went in there, and you've got that diagnosis and that prognosis.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you did? I mean, you probably told the nutritionist to pound sand, and then boom, what did you do? What was your next action item?
Well, I mean, for years, this was back in 2011, I took my medications like I should, and tried to keep my diabetes under control. I was on a statin medication. I was on a kidney medication. I was on a blood sugar medication. We tried a couple different blood sugar medications. I couldn't tolerate metformin. They really wanted me to take metformin, and it made me so sick.
Yeah.
I mean, like nauseous and headaches and stuff. I literally couldn't take it.
Yeah.
They put it down actually as an allergic reaction to the metformin. So they finally got me on something. I'm actually still on a very low dose of a blood sugar medication to maintain my blood sugar, but eventually I want to get off that one too.
Yeah, it's a great goal. Great goal. Yeah. And so you continue taking it for a while, and then what got you to the point where you're like, this isn't the path. I've given this a chance. It's not working.
I started waking up spiritually. I started doing meditation. This is a spiritual thing.
Yes, it is. 100%.
When we decide to take charge of our own lives and our own health, and not, like you said, have it outsourced. That's a good word for that too.
Yeah.
Because we do outsource our own health and our own vitality to those with pieces of paper who are experts.
Yeah.
But they mean well. I've worked in healthcare for over 20 years. The vast majority of doctors and clinicians I know are good-hearted people.
Yep, absolutely.
Who mean well, and they want to help. But even when they're confronted with living proof, such as me, I went to my doctor, he still couldn't say I didn't have diabetes anymore.
Right. Yep. Good people still have egos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good people still have egos. And when someone like you or me shows up to their office better, and it had nothing to do, and in fact, it had everything to do with doing the opposite of what they advise. And they went to school for 8 years, and the very first day of college, they get paraded around the university and given their white coat ceremony. Right. So, and then think about what type of person goes into that field, right? Just like what type of person wants to be a cop, right? You're either like a power hungry Nazi, or you're just like this altruistic, wonderful person. Right. And those are that, great exaggerations, but you know what I mean? You have these profiles of personality, and, but let's face it, like people that want to do that, they generally just, they have large egos, and if they're not integrated egos, and they're not, nurtured egos, and they're not in touch with themselves, right? Those types of people, those are the ones that when you confront them with reality, well, it's in direct contrast to their reality, right? And so that causes this, oh shit, fear response, right? I've got to dig in. I've got to win this argument, right? I've got the white coat, he doesn't. And so how long did you take the medicine before you realized it didn't work?
Oh, from 2011 till 2020, when I decided to take my health back for 9 years.
What kind of results were you getting from the medication and the doctor and nutritionist advice?
My diabetes was controlled mostly, but it wasn't getting any better.
Yeah.
I wasn't losing weight. I was relying on the healthcare industry to tell me what to do and manage my health.
Yeah.
And, it's good in certain circumstances, but you can't, when you have a chronic condition like this, you got to take responsibility for yourself and take it back. And it's the easiest thing in the world once you actually decide to do it, just to eat right.
Yeah.
All I did was start eating right. And, I do a little bit of intermittent fasting too, which that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother show. Yeah.
Really amazing benefit to water fasting. We get into that whenever, but
that's a great tool for, impulse control, dopamine control, and, weight control. Resets the appetite, cleans up the body. There's a lot great about it. And so like what you just talked about, right? 9 years, you had to be on this, this medical induced life support, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about the business model of the medical cartel, like it is a literal thing. It's not a thing we say just as hyperbole, or ad hominem attacks. This is literally how it's designed. You've got a gentleman who's nowhere near death, who comes in, and what you give this guy, or gal, or whoever walks in your office, actually gets them closer to death than they would be if they would have just stayed off of it. And the reason is whatever they give you has more side effects than what you're trying to alleviate. And you're trying to mute a symptom, which is a signal. Your body creates disease for you to heal. Your body doesn't create disease for you to just like wither away and die. Okay. Now, some diseases are put in your path that are very serious, and guys, genetic and severe, unexplainable diseases and things that are outside of the ordinary realm. I'm obviously very sensitive to those exist, and I'm not trying to downplay that situation at all. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the everyday metabolic diseases that we incur as Americans. But you get somebody on a treatment protocol that actually gets them closer to death, but mutes that signal that they're getting closer to death. So 5 years, they need how many more prescriptions? 5 years after that, how many more prescriptions? And it's this medical induced life support. 9 years, Shawn was on these drugs, and then he's just about ready to tell us like the impetus that made him change and decide this isn't it. And the results he saw were just like so fast, amazing.
Very quick.
So you're 9 years on the medicine. You're like, this ain't working. You had your spiritual awakening, right? You got into meditation. Mm-hmm. And what signals were you getting from your soul that were telling you, and the intuition that like that was undeniable? How did that develop, and what'd that look like?
It was just a gradual, I don't know. I just knew I needed to change. I knew that I felt okay, but I felt run down, heavy. I looked at myself from a few years earlier and compared myself to how I was, then. Mm-hmm. And I saw that I was slowly starting to go just slowly, gradually downhill. It's almost imperceptible, but it was happening.
Yeah.
And part of me, they want to tell you that, we all get older and we all age and we all just gradually go downhill as we age. That's not true.
It's not.
I mean, I'm almost 54. I feel like I'm in my early 20s again. I feel better than I did even back when I was in my 20s. I didn't eat right back then.
Yeah.
So I feel even better now than I did then. I got to tell you, I'm more vital. My energy level is higher. My moods, I don't get these mood swings, so much. I'm a lot more even keeled.
Yeah. That blood sugar balance, the emotional balance, not having those organs under duress 24/7, right? So your hormones can stay balanced. It's amazing, what that does for the mood and energy. And what Shawn's talking about, guys, is this is exactly what we talk about. Aging on your own terms, right? The aging myth. It doesn't have to be this way. You were designed to be vital for a long time. Yes. There's indigenous cultures, I believe it's the Hunza tribe in northern India. And in that tribe, it's very customary and very common for people to father children into their centurion years. So it's
wow.
It's
wow.
Yeah, there's no slowing down. There's no need to slow down. My mentor, Paul Chek, he just turned 60, and he's got the energy and physique of someone in their 20s. It's just incredible. But he says, I'm normal, right? And that's what I try to say to you, like, what you're feeling right now, that's normal.
Yes.
What isn't normal is this drugged up, intoxicated life that we all get born into, right? As soon as we're born, boom, they're sticking us with drugs, and then they're making doctor's appointments for the rest of your life, and so how much weight exactly have you dropped in the last year?
I went from 260 in early March of 2020, down to around 210, 215, where I'm at now.
All right. So you lost like 50 pounds right when the shit was hitting the fan.
Yep.
Right. In the middle of the pandemic, the world's falling apart. This is when not everybody, but this is when a vast majority of the people decided to give up their health plan, right? Because they went to survival mode, right?
Yeah.
And the big oxymoron in that is that's what's going to keep you surviving, right? Is that health? But they went to this survival mode, and we gained an average of 20 pounds. Like, so take 20 times 330 million people. It's a lot of weight we gained in the middle of a pandemic that was killing obese people.
Yeah.
Right. And
I actually went the opposite direction right when the pandemic hit. I was like, nope.
Was that a conscious strategy of yours? Or was that just the timing of everything?
It was the timing of everything. I almost think that I might have been a little precog about it. I knew something was happening. Something was building up.
It didn't feel right, did it?
It didn't feel right at all. Even in late 2019, you start hearing little things about coronavirus here and there. They were starting to put it into our consciousness.
Yep.
Because they were ramping up
programming.
Yeah. They knew what they were going to do.
Oh, damn right.
And I was like, this isn't right. I need to do something. And it was just a combination of things. I was starting to get scared. I was starting to think I was having more serious kidney problems. Like I was getting up to urinate a lot.
Yeah.
And this was right before I changed my diet and everything. And it's weird. It all came together. Right when the lockdown hit. I decided to go this way when a lot of people went that way.
Yeah. So it's like, what I hear there, what comes up for me is the lockdown hit, and it coincided with you taking on this, like embarking on this spiritual journey, right? Which is by nature inward focused, right?
Yes,
so it's like
it's all inward.
Yeah. So it's like, here I'm getting locked down and I'm going within, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look at the natural progression of that would be natural, right? That would be what a great time to go inward, to go within, to inventory our shadows, and to maybe plan a future based on that. And I really think, like, when you look at the grand scheme, that was the overall pain teacher message here was we're living so damn crooked. Shawn's example is your story is a perfect example. You walk in there, 50, 60 pounds overweight, and you've got full-blown type 2 diabetes, and you're already symptomatic because of it. So, that's a progressive disease, right? And you walk in there, and here you've got a white coat and a nutritionist telling you can't reverse it, right? And that's the world that we are in, and that's what shut us down in 2020. That's the environment we're in. We'll come out of it, and look who we look to for advice. Those people that say Shawn can't reverse his diabetes.
Yeah.
The shit I can't, the hell I can't. What caused it? I'll do the opposite and see what happens. Yeah. It's just logic. It's just intuition, you guys. Your body creates the disease. Your body heals the disease. Period. Yeah. Look how it was created. You'll find out how to heal it. And so
I didn't.
What's that?
Can I say something real quick?
Oh, please do.
When I started this journey, I didn't even set out to lose weight or reverse my diabetes. I didn't set out to do any of that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to feel better and have and be happier. That's all I wanted.
Yes.
I just wanted to raise my vibration and heal.
Yes.
Like inwardly. And then, but it started inwardly, but then it manifested outwardly too. It's beautiful.
Oh, and you just opened the biggest can of worms in health right there. And that is the fact of the matter is it don't matter what diet program you're on. It doesn't matter what fitness program you're on. It doesn't matter what steroids you're taking. It doesn't matter what supplements you're taking. Those all aid your progress, but it doesn't get you a damn place if you don't have a firm understanding of who you are, right? What's important to you and why it's important to you, right? And is that importance healthy or not? If I go out and desire to achieve, just to impress people, right? Just to prove my adequacy or my worth, right? Well, maybe the question I need to ask myself, is there such thing as worthlessness or inadequate, right? But you came from a spiritual place, and this is what's missing. This is what's missing in health journeys. This is what's missing in transformations. This is what's missing in people's results sticking, is they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. And, without that foundational understanding of who you are, can you love yourself really without knowing who you are? Right. Some people have unconditional love and they can love strangers. Right. I like to say I am one of them, but you can't be at that level of love. You can't be at the unconditional stage of love. Right. And not know yourself.
Right.
Right. It's just counterintuitive. So we don't know ourselves. So then we don't love and accept ourselves. We might love and accept a persona that we've created or an image that we idealize that isn't even really us, but we don't truly. Right. And so you got to ask yourself, like, if I know and love anybody in the world, why would it not be me? Why would it not start with me? And that's not self-centered. That's not narcissistic. That is actually the opposite, because if you and I are really good friends and you're my best friend and I rely on you for everything, you rely on me for everything, I can tell you anything, you tell me anything, we got that dynamic going. The minute that I need something from you, right, that throws off the balance of the relationship, unless it's a true need, right? But if I need you to validate, if I need you to make me feel better, if I need you to prove my worth, right,
Yeah.
then I've placed a burden and an expectation upon you that you didn't ask for. That wasn't the terms of our friendship. And if you do the same to me, right, it's the same deal. And so we don't
Right.
realize that that's how we sabotage our relationships. That's how we sabotage our situations in life, is because we don't get into them for the real reason that we thought we were. Right.
True connection. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything
Yeah.
that we do should enhance our overall body of health and wellness. If that's our goal, if that's our path,
Yes.
our mission. And the second that we jump into something thinking that that's what we're going to get out of it, but we don't know ourselves well enough to know what path we're on and what it's going to take to stay on that path and
Right.
what it looks like when we get off that path, then the piece is missing. And that's why I believe your story was so successful so fast, right? And you had the
Yes.
confidence, you had the self-assuredness to look that nutritionist in the eye and say, probably very politely, right?
Oh yeah.
Go F
Very
yourself.
polite.
Go fuck yourself, because what you're saying doesn't resonate with me.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
My journey was definitely a journey of self-love. I
Yeah.
will say that. Absolutely. I did and continue to do a lot of shadow work and meditation, a little heart chakra meditation. Heart chakra meditation for me is key. I'll meditate
Oh,
on the other
yes.
chakras and different ones, but that heart,
That
if
loving
you keep
kindness.
that heart open up, everything else flows from that.
Yeah. That's where the blockage occurs, doesn't it? That's where the blockage
Yes.
occurs. And guys, please hang with us if this is getting a little out of your element, but this is really the truth of the matter. And just because we're using Eastern terminology doesn't make it untrue. So what we're talking about is the body chakra system, right? And your chakra, basically, for Western language, right, to explain it in Western terms, think about all your glands and organs that are on the same nerve plexus of innervation. Think of it that way. Okay. So you've got your heart, your lungs, right? Your shoulder joints, your back muscles, all that. So that would be a chakra. Okay. So what Shawn is talking about is the heart zone. All right. It's been scientifically proven that when we experience grief and loss, right, we experience that like in the lung area. When we have a heartbreaking relationship or a betrayal, we experience that in the heart, in the actual heart. So this is true. Yeah, this is all true. This isn't hypothetical. This isn't all woo-woo. This isn't all airy-fairy. This is like real. We're just using Eastern terminology because they've been dealing with this for thousands of years. But what happens is, like, basically in our development, our lower self. So if you think about like from your solar plexus, right, your sternum down through your reproductive organs, right, your eliminative organs, right, that's our development of self, safety, security, our ability to be creative, our ability to produce. That's where creativity comes from, right? The reproductive desire in us. And then you've got like the ego area, right? That's in your solar plexus. That's a sense of self, right? So you've got the foundational security, the creativity, and the sense of self. Well, that's a freaking awesome manifestation of the beginnings of an awesome person. But we get blocked in this heart zone, right? That's where energy gets stuck. We have a lot of trauma in life. We have a lot of heartache, and that sets in because we are weak. There's no rite of passage. We're spiritually weak. And I'm not condemning, I'm not judging. This is like, I'm talking about myself, guys, for the first 40 years of my life, right? But we get spiritually weak. We don't let love in. We don't give love out. We get transactional with our love. If somebody gives us love, we might think, what does this person want? If I give love, I might think, what am I going to get for this? Right. Or I might keep score. But that all results, in a blocked heart area. And what Shawn's talking about is, his connection meditations and his love meditations, referred to as loving kindness in a lot of areas, meditations that really opens up this heart zone. And there's actually specific frequencies that you can listen to. If you like meditation music, you've got tuning forks, you've got Tibetan bowls. There's all sorts of things. You can find this stuff on YouTube. You can get apps, but the frequency corresponds with that nerve plexus around the heart area, which helps release some of that trauma. Now, if you do the shadow work like Shawn was talking about, and you can physically go back and trace those events and reassign meaning to them, or take away all meaning whatsoever, right? Then you're able to release that trauma out of your body, and you're able to free up this zone. And what's so important about freeing up your love zone, right? Well, is you can give and receive love freely, but more than that, you start opening your ability to communicate. Your open ability to intuit, which Shawn had a wide open third eye when he went and talked to that nutritionist who gave him a bunch of bullshit advice. right? And then you get connection to source. So all these areas, right? Your kundalini, your chi, right? Your prana, it can flow freely through all your body's energy zones. And what's innervated in those? Everything. You've got your glands, you've got your organs, you've got your muscles, you've got your skin, you've got everything that happens in there. And if one of those areas is blocked, everything up below it or above it and below it experiences the extra pressure from that blockage.
Yes.
Yeah. So what got you into those heart meditations was that a part of your strategy to feel better, or was it just something you just intuited that your heart zone was blocked and you came across some helpful resources?
It was some intuition, and it was something that I, like instinctively I knew that this is something in conjunction with this new diet I'm doing, and with, with the fasting, I want to do this meditation. And not just heart chakra meditation, but different types of
different types.
Eastern meditation.
Yeah.
But it was something I knew I had to do. I was completely done with the way I was before. I was just done.
Yeah.
And I was ready.
Yep.
And I'd always studied Eastern disciplines and chakras, and it was a thing that I've always been familiar with in my life, but never really engaged with actively, like hardcore, and like I'm doing now, like I started doing a year and a half ago.
Fully committed. Yeah. And that's the spiritual discipline, right? So it's about core values. Shawn has a core value of honoring his spiritual health and his shadow work. And it's a strong core value for him, obviously, guys. And this is why core values are so important. I know they sound a little cliche, right? But, that's because that term gets thrown around a lot. But really, if you don't have a clear understanding of who you are, clear path of where you want to go, clear map on how to get there, and core values surrounding that, it's very difficult to make any lasting change. You're just compromising at that point. Yeah. And so what, if you could put into words the difference in how you feel today versus how you felt 10 years ago?
Oh my God.
I mean, you've already talked about the energy and how you feel, decades younger.
Yeah, I do.
That's probably enough. But I mean, is there anything else that comes to mind, things that you think about daily that you can do now that you couldn't do before, or anything like that?
I mean, I've always kind of been blessed. My body's been pretty good shape. I've been blessed with good genes,
Awesome.
Not to brag or anything, but I don't really have any chronic stuff going on other than, I had the diabetes. I feel like I have a lot more energy. I feel a lot more confident. Yeah, the confidence and the energy level. I feel lighter in my vibration, and I think this has a lot to do with eating plant-based. I got nothing against, eating meat and all that. And I'll eat meat 2 or 3 times a month. When I feel like I'm not getting proper, like quite enough protein, I'll go and I'll have a burger or something, or, I'll have some fish or whatever.
There's no dogma here. It's all about experience, right? We're just sharing our experience. Yeah. This has worked for you.
And, I found something that works. I feel so much better. Like I said, I lost the 50, 60 pounds. I feel even better than I did when I was in my 20s, because I'm eating right now. I have this healthy, vital energy that, I don't know, it's more of a high vibratory state.
Yeah, you're honoring, it's like everything we do to honor our health. It's almost like we should have just call it all the same thing, right? I'm going to the gym. I'm honoring my health, right? And I'm eating. Well, if I'm eating a hot dog, I'm not honoring my health. But if I'm eating food that's what my body needs because of the activities that I've had today and this week and this month, right? It's going to match the activity level and the activity level that I plan on having tomorrow. Right? That's honoring. That's honoring. If I take the time to turn the TV off and go into the meditation chair, that's honoring. But we call it different things. We call it eating, we call it exercising, we call it drinking water, we call it, meditating, right? But it's all about living this intentional, purposeful life. And I can just imagine the difference in how you show up to the world with going through the shadow work, the love and acceptance discipline, and making the change, in how you were feeling your body. So you made this holistic change that created this amazing synergy in your body.
Yeah.
Right? So all of that, I could just imagine how you're showing up to the world now compared to where how you did 10 years ago. So this has to have an impact on people that and have been around and known you for a while.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of impact have you had on others with your story? I mean, even just surprising them about how medical actually works.
Sure. People were surprised, because we've been in lockdown for a while. So at my work, I see certain people starting to come back to work after, the year and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
And they see me and they say, Shawn, have you lost some weight? And, and then I tell them,
yeah,
I did. And they have questions and I tell them, and how do I do that? And I say, it's easy, but you have to decide to do it, and you have to want it enough to actually do it.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you what I did, but if you're not driven to do it, you're not gonna until you're ready.
Yep. Exactly.
That's what I tell people. If you really want this, you can do it.
Exactly.
I had maybe last month before Halloween, I was helping a couple of people with their computers. I do IT work.
Yeah.
And they offered me some Halloween candy, and these two ladies. And I said, no, thank you. That's how I used to have diabetes. And they both looked at me and they said, you used to have diabetes? I'm like, yeah, I reversed it. And they're like, we both have diabetes. We'd like to know what you did. And I told them, cut out the carbs, eat fresh veggies, drink water.
Yeah.
It's really as simple as that, but you have to want it for yourself.
100%.
And then once you want it, it's yours.
Absolutely. Boy, that's beautiful. That was beautiful. It is so important, guys. Like, I say this so often and people hear it, but there's that little thing in the back of our mind that makes us want to be the one that can do it without figuring that stuff out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The shortcut. And here's the thing, even if you do it, you're still missing out on all that self-discovery.
Yes. Oh God.
I mean,
yes.
For my anecdotally, and I can say, with certainty with the clients I've worked with, it's the same story, but I know my story the best, so I'll share it, and I know I can share it because I give myself permission. But when I think of all the ailments that used to plague me every single day, I remember I was in like 7th, 8th grade, 6th grade, maybe even, and we kept a glass of water, or a water glass, by the bathroom sink so I could get up out of my bed in the middle of the night, and I would drink a glass of sodium bicarbonate in water, baking soda in water.
Okay.
That acid reflux that bad. And that was just kind of an indicator of my state of health, so that the arthritis, the absolute heartbreaking doctor prognosis that told me I would have to stop lifting weights. And when I basically turned into a 7-year-old child right in front of him and said, what do you mean? He said, well, if you do continue, if you choose to ignore that advice, you certainly cannot lift overhead for the rest of your life. And I was like, think about that. Think about, all the arthritis, all throughout my body, all that stuff. I was in chronic pain every single day.
Wow.
But the number one thing that was really plaguing me was my ruminating thoughts and how I saw the world and how I assessed everything as a threat. Everything was a threat. And so I reacted accordingly. Out of all that, the thing that I am most excited to share with the world and most blown away by its impact and value in the whole mechanism is that self-discovery work. I've spent the better part of the last 3 months immersed in finding ways to deliver the self-discovery package better to my clients. Okay. And I've been working hard on it. By the end of this week, it'll be done. But basically now we will have a system for us to go, this is your base personality. This is what it looks like when you go towards disintegrated personality at this level. So there's levels 1 through 9 of integration, disintegration, but this will let people know right here and there, this is my personality type. I am on this level of integration or disintegration. And from here, we know what it takes to get you towards integration so that we can get you to a solid foundational being from which we can build a masterpiece on top of. Right. Cool. And I think that's what you had going into that doctor visit, is you finally built that self foundation, right? The love and the acceptance. And I know that term self-love gets cringy, especially for the male population. And I'll admittedly, it's cringy when I hear it too, but like, really, there's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put it. It was all about self-love and self-acceptance.
Yeah.
But you built that, and there was no one that was going to tell you anything that went against your intuition. And that's where we need to go, guys. That's where we need to get to. If we get to that spot, there's no reporter on MSNBC or no doctor in the White House that's going to tell you how to live. I mean, they're not going to tell me how to live, and they're not going to tell Shawn how to live.
Nope.
But we lack that clarity, that conviction, and rightly so, because we haven't got to know ourselves well enough. But once you get there, then that's when you're totally free. That's when you experience that total health freedom. You don't get health freedom if you're still like a disintegrated, sick version of yourself, right? And most of us, quite honestly, are walking around in that very average to unhealthy aspect of our personality. There's just so much opportunity, and just a little bit of shadow work over the course of several months can really, really work wonders.
Yes.
But Shawn, man, I can't thank you enough for sharing that story. It was super inspiring to me. I'm generally not this like excited to reach out to people and like try to get them to like clear out time out of their busy life to talk to me. But with your story, I was like, I got to get you on. And I'm going to steal that phrase. That's how I used to have diabetes. I'm going to steal that. And I'm going to, I'll obviously give you credit for it, but that is,
use it all.
Because what an awesome way to tell people that diabetes is reversible. Right.
It totally is. If somebody like me can do it, anybody can do it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I was unhealthy for years.
Yeah. Yeah. And our body's designed to get us back towards health, guys. So no matter how far gone you think you are, your body's just like revving every system it can to get you back there. Your body is fighting hard for you. Your spirit is fighting hard for you. Your spirit is calling for your attention. Just stop, pause, take 5 breaths. Don't do anything for a minute and just listen to what that thing is saying to you. It's got the gold. The spirit's got the gold. It's trying to get through to you, right? So. Yeah. All right, Shawn. Well, I'll let you go, but I appreciate your time, brother. And we'll have to do this again, and we'll talk about intermittent fasting next time. How about that?
I would love to. Thanks, Jerry. It's been great.
Awesome, man. I'll get Facebook Live figured out.
Well, man, I don't know what happened. Maybe they're trying to censor us. Who knows?
No doubt, right? They probably looked at both of our profiles. They're like, we don't want these two talking live.
No, better not. We'll get it up anyway.
We'll get it up. There's workarounds.
Cool, man.
All right, brother. Have a great night.
You too.
Love and live well, man. Thanks for the talk.
Peace. Take care.
We'll see you.
All right.